listening to Florida Songwriters Association podcast. Your main source for music industry news, networking, and business education.
Welcome to Florida Songwriters Association podcast. I'm your host, Steve Lane, and my guest today is Miss Adriana Norena. Adriana Norena is a sound therapist. Adriana, tell us about yourself.
Good morning, Steve, and first of all, thank you for having me here today. My name is Adriana Norena. I am a licensed speech-language pathologist and sound therapist. I've been practicing as a speech-language pathologist in Florida for the past 15 years, and for the past 5 years, I've been studying and doing sound therapy all over the world.
So tell us a little bit about sound therapy and how did you get interested in doing that?
Sound therapy is essentially using music to create positive effects on the body. It's probably been used since the beginning of time. I mean, let's think about it. We all connect to music. It stimulates all of our senses, and it has a way of touching us deeply. So, it's no secret that music affects us, and we have a very strong connection to music and vibration.
Absolutely. Now, tell us about the instrument that you use during your therapy. What are they called?
Okay, so a variety of instruments can be used, Steve. Many instruments can be used. I use especially the tuning fork.
Adrian, let's take a quick break. And for our first song called All Revved Up by Simple Southern Boys.
listening to Florida Songwriters Association Podcast.
Your main source for music industry news, networking, and business education.
Welcome back, and that was All Revved Up by Simple Southern Boys. My guest today is Miss Adriana Norena, and we are discussing sound therapy and how sound frequencies affects the body. Adriana, how does the sound frequency affect the body?
So if we go deep into the science of it, the doctor who developed the use of tuning forks for healing and for positive benefits, he explains that what it's actually doing is that it is balancing the frequency of your central nervous system. Now that's kind of the fancy term, but really the minimum that I have seen as far as positive effects has been just a very deep relaxation. Everybody experiences that, but there are many, many different effects, and it kind of depends on the person. There was a woman I worked with in Colombia, and using a particular tuning fork to the bone of her head and her skull actually stopped her seizures, and she now uses this instrument exclusively. She got off the medication that she was using, and she now can go out alone, and she doesn't have to worry about her getting frequent seizures because she uses her tuning fork.
So those are some of the positive effects the client will have during your session, is that correct?
Well, so it depends on the person. This was just one experience for one person, right? So it really depends on the person. Again, the minimum is a relaxation. I've had people go into a very, very deep sleep for hours and have really interesting and really beautiful experiences in their dream state. And that's been another thing that many people have reported to me. I mean, I've probably done about 300 sessions all over the world. I've documented a lot of the effects. So it kind of depends on the person, but the minimum is just very, very deep relaxation. And who doesn't need that, Steve?
Exactly. So how many sessions before you start feeling the effect?
So really, right away, you start feeling the effects. Some people only need to listen to the frequencies or feel the vibration on their bone one time. You know, there are different instruments. There's instruments that I use to create sound in the environment that the person will listen to. And then there's a tuning fork I use where I vibrate it, and it actually vibrates directly on the bone, on the body of the person. So it also depends. For example, what I call the auto tuner, the one that I use on the bone, that one can be used for relief of pain. So if I have a bad knee, so whenever I have knee pain, I'll just vibrate it and then put it on the bone of my knee, and it instantly stops the pain. So that's just another effect that I have absolutely seen many, many people experience through the use of these tuning forks. It's really been something that's changed my life.
Well, it's amazing how these tuning forks can affect the body and heal the body. It's now time to take a quick break, and our second song is called Calming Atmosphere.
The more I learn, common sense says fear, but it's the common sense that we should be afraid of. Calming atmosphere.
Songwriters Association podcast. We bring you indie music.
You know what it is.
And music resources.
You know, it's dope.
Your main source for music industry news, networking, and business education.
Welcome back, and that was Calming Atmosphere. It's time to thank our sponsor, Adriana Norena, a sound therapist, for sponsoring Florida Songwriters Association podcast, episode 9. You can contact Adriana Norena at ANORENA22@yahoo.com. My guest today is Miss Adriana Norena. We are discussing sound therapy and how the frequency affects the body. Can we hear the tuning forks, how it sounds?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to play the tuning forks, and tell us after we play it, tell us a little bit about it. Wow, that's an amazing tuning forks. I love the frequencies. Tell us more about the frequencies and what frequency was that sound set on?
So for that particular sound clip, we have the C and the G that I'm playing them against each other. So it's like if we talk about music, and your listeners are in the field of music, if we talk about the solfeggio, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If we look at that, it basically relates to that. So that's the C and the G are the two frequencies I played there. And in mathematics and in music, the C and the G are considered the perfect fit, Steve, because the C is 5 steps away from the G on the musical scale. So all the instruments that I use are essentially attached or related to the musical scale, the solfeggio.
That's pretty cool, because I know the music industry uses 432 megahertz, and this is very close to what the music industry standards are. So I really like what you're doing with the tuning forks and how it affects the body and so on.
Right. So Steve, let me expand a little bit of that. And now I'm learning every day. So, I don't have all the answers to everything, but every day I try and learn more about sound, because it's become something really important in my life. And what I'm understanding is that there are different frequencies that are healing for the body, different hertz, right? And it's essentially vibrations per second is what hertz are. And so apparently there's certain music out today that uses frequencies that are antagonistic to the body as opposed to healing to the body. So I urge all of you musicians and anybody in the music industry to really learn a little bit about that, because from what I'm understanding, just a little bit of adjusting in the hertz can make a big difference in the effects of music on the body. We want to put out healing vibes to share with our communities.
Well, I can tell you, before I called you for the interview, I went through a session with you, and I can tell you I was lifting weights in my lower back. I sprained the middle of my back, and when you use the therapy within that area, the tuning forks, it relieved a lot of pain. So how many sessions do I need to continue before I start really feeling that pain going away?
Right. So again, just one session can make a big difference. Just one will make a difference. Now, do I think continuous use of these instruments is even more beneficial? Absolutely. But again, like I explained before, I've had people have incredible reactions and effects from just one time they listen to my frequencies. Like I tend to use the C and the G because it's easier to travel with just a few tuning forks. And I mean, there have been people that I've played the sounds for just one revolution, one vibration, and they sat there, eyes closed for 10 minutes, not moving, just from hearing these sounds one time. right? And for the people who have pain and have arthritis and different things, it's continuous use, right? So I would recommend for every family and every home to have a set of these tuning forks. And at the end of the show, we'll let you know where we can get those. But I think every family, every person should have these. So I want to talk just a little bit about the doctor who trained me to do this therapy. I've been on a journey for about 20 years to gather information about healing and health. It was after my sister died of cancer. She was 24. I was in my late 20s, and I had the experience of being her caregiver for the time that she was ill. And after she passed away, that experience really changed my life. And I began to question a lot of things about the health industry and to educate myself as a way of ridding myself of fear. Because once you see such a process of a young person dying like that, it really affects you. So I started just learning to relieve myself of fear. And I also started learning because I wanted to share with people information that can help them to be healthy. Because I saw what happens when you only look at one avenue of healing. And so I began to just gather ammunition to help people and to share with people. And I've done it just for the sake of wanting to have people avoid going through such a horrible experience like what my sister went through. So fast forward to 5 years ago, and I went to a sound healing conference in Biscayne Bay called Sacred Sounds Conference. And some people closely tied to me who are also on this journey of healing and helping others organize a conference of music and artists and all different types of professionals that wanted to share good healing things. And so I went to this weekend conference, and this was one of the doctors that was there, Dr. John B. Liu, and he did 2 seminars that weekend, and they were using tuning forks to help people. And the first night out, I bought these instruments. I started sharing the therapy literally that night. And I just became so passionate about it. And as I experience more and more sessions and see what it does for people, it just motivates me to share more and more. And I've been doing it for 5 years, and I keep learning more, and I want to share it with more people every day.
Sounds like you have a passion for it, which is a good thing because you're healthy people. So tell us, how can they contact you if they would like to book a session?
If you want to email me, my email address is anorena22@yahoo.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you just want to learn more information, I am here to give information. This is what I love to do.
Absolutely. So just tell us, where can we purchase the tuning forks?
Dr. John B. Liu wrote a book that I highly recommend. It's called Human Tuning, Sound Healing with Tuning Forks. And Dr. Liu is a naturopath, and he's a mental health counselor. So he's a doctor and a mental health counselor, and he travels all over the world training people on how to do this. And if you're interested, you could go to his website. It's biosonics.com. And that is the only place I get my instruments. If you want to start, a beginner set is a good way to go. You get the C, you get the G, and you get the auto tuner, the Bone One auto tuner, and you also get the book to describe and to kind of train you how to do it. So I encourage anybody who's interested to go ahead and check that out.
Adriana, thank you so much for that. It's now time for our final song called Don't Forget to Breathe by Power Alter Rock.
Keep on moving if you want the change to happen at all, and then you can find love. But if you feel weak and the world seems so small, just don't forget to breathe. And you can have an all if you just want to let it go. keep on dreaming. If we want a sense of hope or a song, we won't fall. If you can hear me now, then you're alive. Just don't forget to breathe. And you can have an all if you just wanna let it go. And you can see it all if you just wanna let it go. And you can have an all if you just wanna let it go. And you can see it all if you just wanna let it go. You gotta keep on breathing. You gotta keep on breathing. You gotta keep on breathing. You gotta keep on breathing.
Yo, what's poppin'? It's your girl Cardi B.
This is Drizzy Drake, your number one Songwriters Association podcast.
Welcome back, and I'm your host, Steve Lane, and that was Don't Forget to Breathe by Power Altered Rock. My guest today is Miss Adriana Norena, and we are discussing sound therapy and how the frequencies affect the body. Adriana, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast, and thank you so much for giving us more information on sound therapy and how the frequencies affects the body.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you having me, and good luck to everybody on their sound healing journeys.
Thank you, Adriana. If you are a songwriter or artist who will like your song to be played on Florida Songwriters Association podcast, please send your songs to indiesongs@flsw.org. Florida Songwriters Association podcast, episode 10, will be with Trace Thomas from Master Lab, and we will discuss helpful tips on how to properly master your song or album. I want to thank you for listening to Florida Songwriters Association podcast, and a closing remark before we depart. Every situation in life is temporary, so when life is good, make sure you enjoy it fully. And when life is not so good, remember it will not last forever, and better days are on the way. Thank you.